On PM Express tonight, the controversy rages on. The Norway embassy controversy, it's become one of the biggest conversations anywhere as far as the headlines are concerned. And you can see the beautiful building in the backdrop. And we're going to watch some videos tonight the minority had produced. We're also expecting to get some pictures that government also has to prove their case. We'll tell you what happened shortly. So really, I'm sure yesterday you watched PM Express. We did a lot of this as well, but this is a very fast-moving story, and a lot has happened today that we could not ignore because a lot of facts have emerged as well. Government has issued a statement. We've seen the minority hold a press conference as well. Too many facts that we can't ignore. We know that the Foreign Affairs Minister and the ranking member on the committee had clashed in Parliament yesterday. This is all there is to it. The dollar sign is causing a lot of the controversy. And as we've seen here, the figure, the minority has told us yesterday that this is costing somewhere around over $12 million for a house that was bought for $3 million just last year. And they've raised concerns about that. It's inflated by as much as $8 million the minority had claimed, which is really at the heart of the controversy. There was a press conference by the minority today at which they put out a series of videos and documents that they insist back their claim that this deal is bad, is really inflated as far as the minority is concerned. We'll be interrogating some of the evidence on the show tonight. They insist that government claim that the transaction has been suspended, and that's the minister's claim yesterday. It's untrue. And the minority said they have evidence to show that, in fact, this claim is untrue. And the documents, there are a lot of them. We talk about we know that they say that the agreement cited between the government and the property owner on the renovations to be done. In fact, the minority claim that renovations currently being done. It's evident that government has gone far with the transactions. Possibly money is committed to it already. We'll be interrogating it as well. The president is being asked tonight by the minority to look into it. They want the president to set up a probe into this matter. We've been speaking with the deputy Foreign Affairs Minister on my other show on radio about this. I've been probing. I've been asking him about whether this will happen. He says if the president asked him to advise on whether to grant this demand, he will say it's unnecessary. If you join us after the break, we'll be interrogating the evidence. Yesterday we heard a lot about how this started, the allegations. Today we'll be interrogating the evidence. There are videos, there are documents, there are pictures. We'll show it to you so that together we can all dissect this and come to our own conclusions where we stand as a country in solving this particular matter. Stay with us here on PM Express. We're live on PM Express, and my guest in the studio, in fact, my first guest, we had agreed to be here, the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, Charles Oredu. We had spoken quite extensively about tonight, but a short while ago, we spoke again, and he says he's unable to be here, and that he's had to go to Pejiase because there's an event there that he has to attend. And so he isn't here. He had shown me pictures, his own pictures from the government side that proves their case as far as this Norway Chancery building is concerned. And I wanted to show that because there's evidence on both sides that we need to interrogate together. And so I wanted him to be here so that we can show his own evidence to back the claims that this is not a building that, you know, is terrible and is in bad shape, that we are getting at a very inflated cost. In fact, they showed me pictures to make the point that this is a building in very good shape, and that could be costly. But yes, I mean, after we agreed, he's not able to come, and so he says he's caught up doing other legitimate work, and so we're going to have the conversation nonetheless. And so I have in the studio with me Samokuyo Blakwa, who is the MP for North Tong. He had raised this matter on the floor. He has been leading. He's a minority spokesperson on foreign affairs. He's also the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament. And so we'll be interrogating it. We'll pull up. He also brought his own evidence, videos and documents to back this. We'll be playing that on your screens very shortly. He says supports his case. We'll be interrogating that on the show. However, government had issued a statement today. I'm sure if you followed this, you would have noticed this. We came early in the morning. I want to start with that. I want to read that, and then that's government's position as far as this is concerned. Government says in the statement that it issued that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration has taken notice of events emerging out of Parliament where a section of the minorities alleging corrupt motives into plans by government to acquire a chancery in Oslo, Norway. The ministry takes very strong exception to the minorities' vigorous attempt to impugn corruption into the transaction by claiming that the price of the chancery has been inflated by $8.5 million. For the avoidance of doubt, these are the facts, and we're going to go through it. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs has not signed any agreement to purchase the said properties, the Chancery and the Ambassador's residence. So these are two different buildings. So there's a Chancery and the Ambassador's residence. The ministry expressed interest in two properties in Oslo, and as required by the Public Procurement Act, commenced due diligence on the properties with the assistance of a property valuer and a reputable lawyer with expertise in the acquisition of properties for diplomatic missions. As of now, the ministry has not entered into any binding agreement with the owners of the property. The ministry wishes to categorically state that no payment has been made towards the purchase of the properties. Therefore, there has not been any financial loss to the state. The ministry strongly rejects the unfounded claims by the ranking member of the Parliamentary Select Committee of Foreign Affairs, Samoku Yeto-Ablakwa, and a section of the minority that seeks to give the erroneous impression that the ministry was engaged in some fraudulent transaction with the owners of the property. Such uninformed allegations and hasty judgments involving a diplomatic mission could damage not only the image of Ghana, but jeopardize relations between the two countries. He says in response to the publication in a Norwegian newspaper alleging the inflation of the price by the owner, the Honorable Minister directed on 12 December 2018 that all activities relating to the acquisition of the two properties be discontinued. The directive was immediately communicated to the parties involved, and it ends by stating the ministry wishes to assure the public that it will not engage in any transaction that lacks transparency and does not conform to proper procurement standards, ensuring value for money. That is a statement released by government, and this is Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. Mr. Ablakwa, I'm sure you've seen this statement. This statement says the claims you've made are unfounded, they are false, it's not true. Let's start with the specifics, because this is what I want to do on the show. It says that the ministry saw the newspaper publications on the 12th in Norway, and they were alerted to the inflation of the amount by the newspaper in Norway, and so they immediately pulled the plugs. And that the decision to pull the plugs on the deal was communicated to all the parties involved. The government is saying, we knew this was happening. It wasn't something that you brought to their attention. It's not something that you can claim, and that they've done the right thing. What's your reaction to that?
Evans, good evening to you and good evening to our viewers. Season's greetings. It's really sad, and we all should be outraged that our public officials will engage in such conduct. And when they are caught out, they put up such a performance, which is not glorious, is not honorable, is not sincere. When you read this statement, they set out to virtually attack me, use very strong words on me, unfounded, uninformed, hasty generalization. And yet, everything you have said in that statement confirms what I said on the floor of the House. You've confirmed the fact that indeed you were taking steps to purchase a property in Oslo. You have confirmed the fact that the pricing is problematic, that it is inflated. You have confirmed the fact that Norwegian media has raised questions about the transaction and has described one Norwegian financial newspaper called the Finansavisen, I hope I get the pronunciation right, described the transaction as unethical. You confirm all of that. And yet in the same vein, you say that I have been uninformed and I'm making unfounded allegations. You have virtually confirmed everything. Now, what is also interesting, Evans, is that in Parliament, and you can talk to your parliamentary correspondent, Opoku Gakpo, who is very diligent. It is the minister who moved the motion. So she spoke first. And she spoke for more than 30 minutes. We have the recording. The Hansard, the official records of Parliament, captured her statement. On the embassy in Oslo, she said that everything was moving smoothly. Plans were far advanced. Very soon, there's going to be a takeover. The embassy will be opened. That's what the minister said. It was not until I, in seconding the motion with reservation, raised the matter. And then the speaker asked for me to tender the documents I have, and there was all the controversy and the adjournment, the break. When we returned from break, that was when the minister announced that she had, as at last week, Wednesday, withdrawn Ghana's interest and that Ghana was no longer pursuing that project. Strange. So, if that is the case, why is it that before I raised the matter, you were portraying everything as having gone very fine, very smoothly, that there is no cause for alarm, and that we should expect the mission to be open soon? So clearly, if you look at the conduct of the officials at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and I have said that this is nothing personal. It's not vendetta. I have nothing against the Honorable Foreign Minister. I'm only doing my job. Article 179 is very clear. When these ministries appear before us, we must scrutinize. And it is documents you brought that triggered my interest. It was this document, briefing on the $50 million credit facility under the Societe Generale Ghana Limited. Okay. You have heard some of them say that. Let's break this down. What the $50 million supposed to do? So the $50 million is supposed to be used for renovations and the purchasing of new missions. And you know that we've been expanding. We're going beyond the 64 missions we have now. We plan to purchase some new missions. And even existing missions have rundown properties. Some are in rental facilities. So the plan is that you will save money in the long term by owning the property instead of paying rent. So this is we demanded the full briefing. They brought this. This is their document. And when I was going through, I saw you are purchasing under disbursement 3. It is anticipated that by the end of December 2018, the following missions will have completed due diligence process and full payment effected from the facility. Interesting. By what date again? End of December 2018. Now, it is interesting to note also that the agreement which we made public today says that the property shall be taken over and the purchase price paid by 31st December 2018. It's here. Okay. So my question on this. But yes. Did the breakdown include Norway? Yes. Okay. So you have Geneva 3 million, Vatican 2 million, and then you have the page 2. you have Paris. You have Paris, where they are purchasing a chancery, where they are also purchasing a residence and even paying for relocation cost. Yes, you have all of that, purchasing a property in Tel Aviv for $4.5 million.
I want to see the
and
Norway
Oslo.
one. Okay.
Oslo purchase of chancery and residence, $16.5 million. Their own document. Okay. I didn't make up the figures.
And I must say, when I spoke to the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister on Top Story, he confirmed the figure of, this is the figure that they informed you. His argument, however, was that they did this as part of their desire to be transparent. And so they brought 15.5 million. But the 15.5 million, so this is, if you disaggregate it, is what? Money for both the chancery and the residence.
And the residence.
Okay, so
yes.
If the residence is 12.5, so I'm assuming that the
rest is
will be
for the. But even that, it doesn't add up, because you see, so this, if you are doing your work diligently, this stands out. It's an outlier, because even more expensive cities, the properties.
The minister
this is like 3
Oslo
times,
is a very
4 times.
expensive city.
I mean, these are facts. You can all Google top 20 or top expensive cities to buy properties in the world, and Oslo doesn't feature in the top 20. Now, so we asked for the breakdown of the $16.5 million, which they brought to us later after the committee sitting, which is this document. Breakdown of the cost of proposed buildings for chancery and residence. It is in Norwegian krona. And
so who gave you this?
This came from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the director of the Estate Department.
Who is she?
She's Doris Sabre.
Okay.
Now, the breakdown as provided, here too we have so many problems with it. When we check, for example, the registration of documents, you have 50,000 Norwegian krona here. The approved figure, which is statutory, is 525.
Well, 50,000 krona is what in dollars?
It's roughly about $5,000.
Okay.
Its structure and evaluation report, 40,000 Norwegian krona. We are told that when you pay agency fees, it is part of the agency fee, so that must not be a standalone. So everything here is inflated. Even if you add the 105 million and the 25 million together, it doesn't add up to the $16.5 million. You get $15.1 million. So there to some $1.3 million inflation. Everything about it. So when we saw all of this, followed with the further checks which I conducted, and
so all these documents were before the committee of which you are ranking member.
Exactly.
And I must indicate that yesterday when the chairman was here, he confirmed that these documents were before you. And
absolutely.
That he had in fact written to request for some of these documents.
Yes.
But he said they were waiting for additional documentation, though, and it was hoping that you would wait for them before you had actually raised your thing on the floor.
You see, that's why we wrote this, the December 12th letter, which the chairman signed to the Minister for Foreign Affairs. Quote, you may recall that at the budget hearing meeting held on Thursday, 6 December 2019, the committee requested for a comprehensive report on the disbursement and utilization of the $50 million loan facility for the renovation of some selected missions abroad. The committee acknowledged receipt of the report and thanked the ministry for the prompt response. The committee has, however, raised some concerns relating to acquisition of properties amounting to $16.5 million for the mission in Oslo. To enable members appreciate the nature and form of these purchases, it would be appreciated if the ministry could furnish the committee with the following documents relating to the proposed property for the mission in Oslo.
Okay.
1. Valuation report of the properties. 2. The ownership of the property and exact location. 3. Purchase agreement or contract of purchase. The committee, at your earliest convenience, wants to meet you for a thorough briefing on purchases and activities of the mission in Oslo. While the committee anticipates a favorable response, please accept the committee's warmest regards. Signed, yours sincerely, the Honorable Anof Frank Dompre, Chairman,
he confirmed
Committee on Foreign Affairs. Yes.
Because of the concerns he
on
had.
the 12th of December. Now, it's quite curious that the minister's statement, she says that they heard about the Norwegian publication, and so on the 12th of December, they withdrew their expression.
This is dated 12 as well.
Ours is also dated 12th of December. So interest, and this Norwegian publication was quite a long while ago. And it was us who drew the attention. We sent text messages when she was in Japan. So when she was furious, when she confronted me in Parliament during the break and was saying that, I was really taken aback because we had sent her text messages, we had tried to reach her, and we had sent this letter. So we expected that you would meet the committee first before coming to the floor to seek approval. Because when you get an omnibus approval, it means that Parliament has given you the stamp of approval to engage in all of these transactions. And that is what I stood up to fight, to avoid. Because, you see, I would be derelict, I would be shirking my responsibility if we allow the approval to be given. And then you want to later, when the horses have bolted, when you have already approved the entire transaction. I bet you, if I had not raised this matter, the approval we got yesterday, minus this Oslo transaction, where it was stated expressly in Parliament that don't proceed with Norway, that would not have been the situation. We will have had an omnibus approval which will have covered all of these transactions. And I would not have been true to my conscience and the mandate that the people of North and the people of this country have given us as parliamentarians. So it is not true to say that I did surprise everybody in Parliament, as the Speaker gave in his ruling. The Speaker also had claimed that the documentation I was relying on was largely internet downloads that could not be verified. These are the documents that I presented to the.
You did a press conference today
to the Speaker,
and you produced some additional evidence that you claim proves your case, and it goes to the heart of the government case. Government fundamental point is we haven't spent a dime on this. We did not accept the deal. We pulled the plugs, and we are not taking it because it's inflated. Today, Samakujo Tablako presented what he believes to be contrary evidence that government in fact accepted the deal and they were going on to pay for it. And he even showed what he believes to be evidence to show that government made requests, specific requests for the contractor, the owners, the seller, to modify the building for us. We'll be interrogating that evidence when we return from the break. This goes really to the heart of it. When we return, and in fact, we have some of the videos that he pointed to at a press conference. We'll watch that and interrogate that together. Stay with us. So live on PM Express here on the JoyNews channel. Let's interrogate the evidence as the minority has put out. Mr. Blakwa, the fundamental position of government is that they have not spent a dime on this building. And so what's the point? There's no financial loss. And most importantly, and this came up on Top Story, and we'll play back that interview I did with the Deputy Minister shortly. He says that it's not true that they've even accepted the deal, the offer that they got. You say that's not true, and like you claim to have evidence. What's evidence you have?
Yeah, this is the evidence, and it's we've done the translation of the agreement, which was originally in the Norwegian language. And it is interesting. The offer is made that we hereby offer the following terms for purchase of the property at Sigens Gate 3, land number 215, title number 522 in Oslo. 1. The purchase price for the property is 100,000 Norwegian kroner, which tallies with the breakdown they brought to Parliament. Tallies. It says the property shall be taken over and the purchase price paid by 31st December 2018, if desired. The seller may defer the transfer to 2nd January 2019. This also tallies with the briefing that they brought to our committee, that they hope to pay by 31st December 2018. 3. The property shall be taken over as surveyed, provided, however, that any incomplete work per 21st November 2018 shall be completed before the delivery. 4. The purchaser requires the residents, the purchaser. If you read the minister's statement today, she says that we only express interest.
Yes.
This goes beyond expression of interest. When you tell the offeror that, let me just read it. The purchaser requires the residents to have the following work performed by the seller prior to takeover. A. The small wall on the second floor of the ambassador's office shall be removed and the electric installations shall be installed on the inside of the wall with an opening of 30 by 30 centimeters. B. Cables which cannot be removed in the opening shall be placed in boxes. C. In the office on the ground floor, there shall be installed 2 toilets as shown in the drawing. D. Wardrobe in the entrance hall shall be completed and ready to use. E. The seller shall install a kitchen in the bed-sitting room in the basement.
Who's making these requests?
The government of Ghana.
And this document is from?
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs. It was part of the...
The ones they brought to the house?
Yes.
So these are, you said this is requests they made off
the seller. So this goes beyond just an expression of interest. And that is why we are saying that we want to see that communication to the parties that you are no longer interested. We want to see evidence. As we speak, Parliament has not seen any evidence that indeed this whole transaction has been terminated. 2, what is the response? Because if the seller has invested, has actually spent resources meeting your specifications, which you have requested of him, and we have the videos. On the 13th of December, we sent a team.
Is this the video on the screen now?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
That is
what are we watching now?
There are 2 videos. This is the interior, where the construction works are taking place. And these ongoing construction works conform to what is in this agreement. The kitchenette at the basement, the wardrobe at the entrance hall, the renovations in the ambassador's office to add additional toilets and all of that. And indeed, there is a Norwegian discussion that you may want to translate. We have done that. The workers are asked who they are working for and all, and they say that it's going to be an embassy. It's for the Ghana government. It's a Ghanaian embassy. And you see, the second anecdote that you derive from this video is that, contrary to claims that, you know, the $3.5 million last year and now $12.2 million would be because the property had been worked on and, you know, the value...
There's been enhancements.
There's been enhancements and all of that. You can tell from this video that nothing like that happened, you know. So...
But the video doesn't show much as there's the interior. But you say there's the work going on is ours, is our request.
That's what the workers said. That's why we are calling for a probe. You see, we are not seeking to criminalize anybody or to indict anybody, but we are saying that there is more to this transaction, right from the series of inflation, hordes of inflated costs, the lack of transparency, and the fact that if we had not exposed this, we would not be hearing. I mean, you have been dealing with the Foreign Affairs Committee all this while. Not once did you tell us that you have issues with the amount. You were comfortable with this $16.5 million. When
did this first come to the committees? When I say not the controversy, the deal to approve the amounts for all the embassies, etc. Because this also was part of the bigger deal, right? The bigger consideration.
Yes.
When did that first come?
The 6th of December. That's when we had the first meeting with the
At that point, this also wasn't an issue.
At that point, we asked for a breakdown.
Okay.
I requested for the breakdown of what they were using the $50 million facility for.
The $50 million was the finance ministry release.
No, the $50 million facility.
Oh, the $50 million they've taken to renovate everything.
The Société Générale loan.
Okay, the Société Générale.
Yeah.
So you asked for a breakdown.
A breakdown.
Okay, and then that came.
And then that came, I think, a couple of days after they brought the breakdown, and that was where we realized
that isolated Oslo.
Yes, Oslo. Because when you read the document.
Well, you showed it.
Oslo.
That is the biggest.
Yes, $16.5 million. And no, what's happening here? And then, so a curious mind will probe further. And then in probing further, one scandal after the other.
Yeah, and so they brought you the breakdown of what that is.
Yes. So we requested the breakdown. The breakdown sought to justify the $16.5 million. They didn't see anything wrong with the figure. They saw nothing wrong at all. They provided a breakdown, which is here, the breakdown which justifies the $16.5 million. And here again, if you do, you see, you get a total of 130,955,000 Norwegian kroner. Here again, If you do the conversion, current, and our viewers can just Google, just do the conversion, today's interbank rate, 130.9 million Norwegian kroner, you get $15.1 million. It doesn't even add up to the $16.5 million. So every single item on this breakdown, we had issues with them.
The chairman of the committee raised something yesterday. He says there was another point that came up, which is the finance ministry having released some 50 million. He said it was released to them in October, right?
True.
At what point and that was for Oslo, was for Mauritius, and one other country where we were going to set up. At what point did that come to your attention? Why was that relevant?
Very relevant, because you see, when we saw these matters and then we frantically tried to reach the ministry not to commit, we then came by this document from the finance ministry, a copy of which I have here, which is headed Response for Issues Raised During the Parliamentary Select Committee on Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration. The second.
You requested for this from the finance ministry.
From the finance ministry.
Why? What prompted the request? Because the chairman confirms there was bipartisan agreement that we should probe this further.
Yes.
But I'm just wondering what specifically prompted the request
because
for this?
all of this, these ballpark figures looked quite suspicious.
You wanted to find out if the finance ministry has released money already?
Yes. And
okay, so this is the video. Can we put this video on? A video of the workers working in this building that we're told is that building that is the subject of this controversy, and you could hear the sound in the background. I think the workers, the carpenters, are working in this building, and as you see, this is what you refer to as the conversations being had.
Yes.
By the workers there.
Yes.
And the person.
Hybel, jeg har hybel nede.
Hybel, ja.
Så det jo soverom oppe også, ikke det?
En oppe, 3. Det litt det her? Nei.
Ja, det skal være kontor, da, det ikke det som meningen?
Ja, det skal være chancery, ja.
Så jeg vet ikke hvor mange soverom der. Da kan jeg i hvert fall sove oppe, helt på toppen.
Helt på toppen, ja.
Det kan jo kanskje være flere soverom da også.
Ja.
Det kan kanskje være 3 på toppen.
Ja.
1, 2, 3 med bad og...
Ja.
Kanskje.
Ja, og dere sa dere blir ferdig når? Dette er ferdig?
Jeg skal ikke si akkurat når.
Nei. Ok. Ja.
Conversation. I don't pretend to understand the Norwegian language, but I heard the word chancery in there, which is the one word that we've been talking about since yesterday, the chancery. I don't know in what context that was said, but it appears to me that it's a conversation for what we heard that whoever was filming was having with the workers there, and the word popped up. And Samakudu Tablakwa argues that those who speak the language had translated to say the workers agree that that building they're working on is meant for a chancery. But I didn't hear the word Ghana though. Well, it could be a chancery for any other country.
It's for Ghana. The agreement is very clear, and it's Ghana that has communicated its specifications that it wants fixed, and that's what they are doing.
You were referring to the...
Yeah, so the Ministry of Finance document, the heading is Track of Claims, signed claims to Controller Accountant General Department as of November 2018. So we saw a figure of 15.3 million Ghana cedis, released on the 20th of October 2018. And the description is establishment of diplomatic missions in Oslo, Norway, and Consulate General in Port Louis, Mauritius, and Guangzhou, China. So we had to ask questions, and that is why we decided that, look, based on all of this, because initially at the committee, when we asked how they were hoping to fund these new missions. The chief director and his team had told us that they are hoping to use IGF. And then we see this release from the Ministry of Finance. We did not tell you what we had been told. So we're all curious. And that's why we said, look, let us just write, let's invite them, and let's settle this matter before approval. But then on Monday, the minister appears and is moving the motion. So I had no choice but to raise the matter. I have heard them say that they wanted us to meet later after the approval. You don't do that. I mean, can you imagine how Parliament would have been subjected to ridicule and attack, if we had gone for a blanket approval and had been silent, did not raise these reservations, and then we sat later. What if we didn't resolve these matters? And what if we didn't get government to back out of this rather, unconscionable transaction?
Fundamental question. Government says we haven't spent a dime, a peso on the bill. You accept that, do you know? Because is there any contrary evidence to that?
It is difficult to accept that. You see, this 15.3 million Ghana cedis, we want to know what they used it for. Is it that the money is still in Ghana, didn't get to Oslo?
They said they haven't spent it.
We need to see.
You see, you don't trust that.
Yes, because of all. You see, the more you go into every single document that they have brought to us, and I listened to the deputy minister's interview with you, struggling to even just accept that yes, you brought before us this document. You demanded $16.5 million. I mean, he was beating all over the bush. Would not say. You see, so the lack of candor. The lack of sincerity. You see, even the agreement that I presented today, you heard him initially say that, there's no Ghana there.
Is there Ghana in it?
Until I told him that you brought the agreement to us.
You
so if there is no Ghana, it's not for Ghana, why did you bring it to us? Did you think that we will not read the document? I mean, so you see, it's the posture, the whole conduct has been problematic, and that's why it's difficult. Now, per this agreement, we have sent a team to Oslo. They brought us these videos. People are working there. Now, are we saying that the buyer is Father Christmas and that there are no liabilities that we have to bear as a country?
It's possible the buyer is just improving it after we chickened out, after we withdrew our offer, our intention to buy, and it's just preparing it to sell to another buyer.
So let's see their response. First of all, we have not seen this minister's letter, this much talked about letter, withdrawal of interest. We haven't seen it. 2, we have not seen the responses from the parties. Because it may just be a matter of time, we will hear some demand being made, some judgment debt claim. You never know. So let us get to the bottom of this matter and settle it once and for all.
Okay. I wanted to listen to the deputy minister refer to my interview with the deputy Samokudita Blakwa. Yeah, he used to be a former deputy minister himself. But the ranking member referred to my interview with the deputy foreign affairs minister, Charles Oluredu. I want to listen to his, and this is a government side, as far as this deal is concerned.
A request to the seller to make changes to the building.
We dispatched a team, a 5-member team, to Oslo to first look at the possibility of having a structure. It can be rent or whatever, so that when we move in, at least we have a place of our abode. Now, this team came back to us and made a report. Out of the report, they had some options, about 3 or 4 options, and they presented a recommendation. Their recommendation was that out of the 3 or 4, we should, select this one. Of course, we looked at the technical reports that were submitted together with these options, and we decided that, okay, we're going to go for this. Now, the minister gave them, the go-ahead, to start talking to these people. Then Mr. went to Japan with His Excellency the President. Then on the 12th of December, she got wind of an article in a newspaper somewhere in Oslo saying that this figure, the seller who is selling this property to us, has padded the figures and all that. Then quickly, she called in to Accra and demanded that we discontinue, this whole discussion, even on this property. So as we speak now, Minister has not signed any agreement we have not expended a peso. So the ordinary person, the Ghanaian taxpayer, he said nobody has expended a peso on this property. So for me,
my question, Minister,
Yes.
Did you or did you not accept the offer that was made to you?
we have never accepted. Let him produce a signature from any official from this ministry.
My second.
That's supposed to show, or that of the minister, because the minister who is supposed to sign this agreement. Let him show you any document signed by our minister or any senior official here that purports to show that we have indeed accepted this offer from this seller.
My second question: if you did not accept the offer, why did you take documents to Parliament for the Foreign Affairs Committee to consider approving the amounts for the purposes of the purchase of several buildings as part of our diplomatic missions, and which included the Norway building?
Evans, you've asked an excellent question. Evans, we never sent any documentation to Parliament seeking the approval, to pass whatever request that we've sent to them. This was an arrangement we had with Societe Generale. We had these monies about 2016 thereabouts under the NDC. They contracted this facility. So there's no any agreement that we have here that shows that we brought a request to Parliament to pass this for us to be able to expend. No, it never happened. What ministers sought to do yesterday was to move the motion, for the appropriation bill, the budget for next year. That's all that she went there to do. Then this surprise was sprung on her. So if somebody tells you that we sent the document to Parliament seeking the approval, for us to spend money on Oslo, Norway, it's not true.
No, but yes.
Sir Charles Uredu, there he's a deputy minister, and very briefly on that point, he says they didn't bring in a document to you seeking approval, did they?
So Evans, I have here the report of the Committee on Foreign Affairs on the 2019 budget estimate, and this is the report that the minister came to Parliament to move the motion for. Page 11 of the report, paragraph 8.6, under the heading Challenges in Disbursement of Facility for Innovation and Acquisition of Properties for Mission. The committee noted that the ministry in 2016 contracted a loan facility of $50 million to renovate selected missions abroad and to acquire new properties. A total of 33 missions are to benefit from the facility. It was noted that there has been delay in the disbursement of the facility. As at the time of reporting, only $5.7 million had been disbursed in respect of the following, and then we list. Okay. So this is a matter that came before us.
But the list you have that does include Norway.
Yes,
Norway.
Yes, and there's an explanation for that.
Okay.
It did not include Norway because we said that we were not satisfied with the documentation, and that our letter to the ministry had not been responded to.
Okay.
So we would not include Norway, just in case there is an omnibus approval, and then someone will want to say, Norway was included, so we are going ahead.
The chairman confirms that.
It was to protect
that you took that out.
It was to protect
so what was approved in Parliament yesterday
did not include Norway
because of the concerns the committee had.
Exactly. So for Honorable Uredu to say that I sprung a surprise when there's a letter sitting at your ministry since the 12th of December asking questions on this transaction. We have been very open, we've acted in good faith, but it gets to a point where when you are now coming for approval and you are saying all is well in Oslo, everything is fine, if I do not point these grave matters out, we are going to lose on the chancery $8.6 million. Then when you look at all the other inflations and all of that, the whole inflated cost comes to some $10 million. I mean, I just can't sleep. I'll be restless if I'm to keep quiet on this on
my
this
final
matter.
question. You've asked for the president to open a probe into this. Mr. Uredu, who is a deputy foreign affairs minister, you heard him. He says if the president asks his opinion, you tell him that it's not necessary. If you don't get the probe, which is very likely you won't get, what will you do? Because you believe this is a grave matter.
I mean, as we have noted, we are going to continue to pursue this matter. We're going to continue to agitate. We will not let this matter lie.
Concretely, what will you do
quietly?
Not to let it lie?
There are so many options available to us. These releases from the Finance Ministry, we can file questions in Parliament, urgent questions. We can ask the Public Account. Fortunately, we chair the Public Accounts Committee, so we can probe further into these accounts. We are still pursuing other legs in Norway, which I don't have to disclose now, and so many other options. We can go to Shraj and all of that. So you have not seen the end of this matter at all, except if government changes its conduct, comes back to the committee and is fully transparent, responds to our December 12 letter, and then we all work together. Because at the end of the day, we just want to protect our image. You don't want this transaction still featuring the Norwegian press. They're describing it as unethical, fraudulent, and all of that. In the minister's statement today, she says that we should watch our relations with. It is rather the non-action, the lack of transparency, the non-responsiveness that will affect our image and our relations with other countries. They are all watching. And if they see that we are not committed in the fight against corruption and we don't want to live above board in our transactions, they will have a very dim view.
Who is the owner of the building? Do you know? Because who's the owner?
Still an unknown buyer. It's all part of the controversy. Who then went to buy just August last year, flips it.
Yeah. Do you know that person?
3.5 and it's making $12.2 million.
Do you know the person?
We're getting close.
That's Samuel Kudita Blackwell. He's ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee. My name is Evans Mensah, and of course I explained earlier why the Deputy Foreign Affairs Minister, who we had spoken to and agreed to come, could not be here. But this conversation, the President is having an encounter tomorrow, and I'm sure the press will ask him about this. He's back from Vienna tonight, and we'll be chatting with him tomorrow. And so maybe we'll get some further clarity on this matter. My name is Evans Mensah. Enjoy the rest of your evening.